Hi, everyone. Today I have a really exciting guest, Tim Soulo, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at Ahrefs. And Tim was born in Ukraine. He now lives in Singapore. He's the Chief Marketing Officer and Product Advisor at Ahrefs, or you can call it Ahrefs, which is an industry-leading SEO tool that I personally use more than a dozen times a day. It's powered by big data. With almost 10 years of practical experience in SEO and digital marketing, Tim eagerly shares his knowledge by giving live talks at various digital marketing conferences around the world and publishing blogs on the Ahrefs blog. He's the author of many data-driven SEO research studies and a number of detailed marketing guides. So, Tim, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Hey, Paris. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Yeah. Tim, how long have you been at Ahrefs?
6 years. So I think within a month from now, I'll be celebrating 6 years with Ahrefs.
Okay. And can you just tell me a little bit about the journey that you've been on at Ahrefs? It seems that this is where your career really took off during these last several years.
I was incredibly lucky to join a great product at the early stages of its race to the top.
Mm-hmm.
When I joined Ahrefs, there were only 16 people, including me. 16, that's 16, not 60.
Mm-hmm.
16 people, and I was the only person doing marketing at Ahrefs. So that's basically, I think it was just lucky of me to join such an incredible company at such an early time.
And I checked LinkedIn, and there are 64 employees according to LinkedIn, compared to SEMrush, which is almost 1,000 employees. And I'm a little bit biased, but I clearly have a preference. How can you all do what you do in this competitive space when you have, I don't know, when you have 1/20th of the workforce of, say, SEMrush?
Yeah, I think it's about having an edge in a few things. So our CEO and founder Dmitry, he's an incredibly technical person. Well, other than being like a successful business person, apparently, he's
Mhm.
also like what people see him as the founder and CEO of a successful company, but people don't know like how much stuff happening behind the scenes and how Dmitry is actually in trenches, how he actually participates in the product development, how he actually digs into the code that we have, how he overlooks the technical side of the product. So, like one of the biggest competitive advantages of Ahrefs as a business, not as a product or as a tool, is actually the technical acumen of our CEO and founder. So a lot of the times companies would be started by people who who have knowledge and experience in business or in marketing, not so much in tech.
Mhm.
So in our case, in the case of Ahrefs, Dmitry's core competence is actually tech. So he's a developer, he's a programmer himself, and he's incredibly good at it. And he just needed to learn a little bit of the business side of running things, which arguably is not as hard to learn as being a good at programming and tech. So I think this is one of the main advantages of Ahrefs is that Dmitry was overlooking the development, and we had superior tech, and I think we still have superior tech, and this will remain our competitive advantage. So when
Mhm.
the CEO and founder of the company is so obsessed about making sure that tech is like the best of the best, it's really hard to compete with that by hiring employees and telling them, can you please make our tech best of the best? So it's a little different story.
Mhm. How involved is Dimitri in the marketing side of the business?
Oh, he's pretty much involved. A lot of the things that I'm doing in marketing, I'm doing them because he gave me the direction. So he, at first, he gave me lots of freedom because when I just joined Ahrefs and asked him, okay, Dmitry, what are my KPIs? What is my objective? What should I achieve for you? How would you rate my performance? He didn't give me any specific KPI that I would be responsible for. He just said, help grow the business, help get more paying customers, help retain those customers, uh, help the customers stay, etc., etc. So
Hmm.
I didn't have like any specific traffic number that I should achieve, or any specific number of leads, or like any conversion rates or anything. He just said like, do anything that you can to help grow business. So at first he kind of gave me lots of freedom, but then he was overlooking the stuff that I was doing and advising and kind of limiting me in some ways to do marketing the way he wants, the way he sees that. So, for
Hmm.
example, he banned a lot of the common marketing practices. For example, pop-ups, uh, pop-ups or lead magnets. Lots of businesses, online businesses, would use pop-ups and would use different lead magnets to convert people to the email list and then nurture them later, etc.
Yeah.
Dmitry always thought that it is spammy. So he just said, we're not going to use any pop ups. We're not going to use any lead magnets. You know, when you offer people to download some ebook, they download it and then you keep sending them emails which are basically unsolicited. So he banned this practice. And similarly, he also doesn't like remarketing, retargeting when someone visits your website. And then you stalk them on Facebook, on Twitter, and pretty much everywhere else where you can show them your ad, knowing that they visited your website and have your cookie. You stalk them. So Dmitry also doesn't like this marketing practice, and he simply banned them. So he actually uh, helped helped me a lot in finding the direction of marketing that Ahrefs is taking right now. So yeah, he's very involved in pretty much everything.
Hmm. So if the use of third party cookies was banned early on at Ahrefs, it sounds like you all are really ready for the future now because everybody's going to be dealing with that pretty soon, and there's
Yeah,
going to be a
exactly.
major shift to first party data.
So yeah, Dmitry he kind of saw the future coming.
Yeah, I think that future is going to hit us faster than we all realize as digital marketers, and we're certainly trying to get our clients and people prepared for that new reality when remarketing based on a third party cookie is not going to be just something that you take for granted anymore. It has to be done differently. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the SEO industry. I've always viewed Ahrefs as a major thought leader in the industry for the past several years. Can you? Our audience is primarily SaaS businesses, B2B SaaS marketers. Uh, Based on what you see happening in SEO, can you just talk about the major trends that you see now in SEO? And then how can a SaaS company that really wants to crush it with SEO and grow their organic traffic, what should they be doing and thinking about right now?
One major trend I'm seeing is not fun at all, and that is Google seems to be turning their search results into content. So this is what I tweeted just a few hours ago. When I checked on mobile one search query that we are ranking for, and we're ranking in top three. So depending on the country you search for, we might be ranking with our blog article number one, number two, or number three. But when you open it on mobile, first you see three huge ads. So you need quite a few scrolls with your thumb to get past through them.
Yeah.
Then you get the first search result. So they still like after those three ads, and there can be four. So I guess there's not enough people bidding for this keyword to display four ads. Otherwise, there would be four ads, and you'll have to scroll even further on your mobile phone. Then they display one organic search listing, which is the one that you don't pay for. Uh, After it, there's people also ask box. There's
Mhm.
knowledge panel. There's a box people also search for. You gave people only one freaking organic search result, and you're already giving people also search for blog. Why don't you give them more search results to pick from? And
Mhm.
only then, after all that stuff, Google is showing number two ranking result and number three ranking result. And this is ridiculous. They are enhancing their search result pages with content so that people wouldn't really go anywhere other than clicking on the ads where Google is getting revenue, or clicking the content within the search result. Those people also ask
Mhm.
boxes, those knowledge panels, and that kind of stuff. So this is the trend I'm seeing, and I really don't like the trend because people spend time, effort, money to create content to answer the questions that people might be asking to Google. And what Google seems to be doing is they starting to aggregate those content on their
Mhm.
own search engine results. So they're kind of using algorithms to create content within their search results instead of sending traffic to the owners of the websites. And I really
Mhm.
don't like this trend within SEO. And actually, our own website got affected by that because for a very long time, for 6 years that I've been with Ahrefs, every single Google update, we were going up. So no matter what
Mhm.
they changed in their algorithm, our website was ticking all the boxes of quality content, quality backlinks, brand, blah, 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 you name it. But
Mhm.
as they started rolling out more of these so-called SERP features into their search results and people started clicking less, we are now getting less search traffic. So this is very upsetting for me. And this is why I think uh, regulators should go harder on Google to kind of rein them in, because what they're doing is completely ridiculous.
Do you think there's still any value for being the content provider who supplies that answer and who shows up in either in a knowledge panel or an instant answer? Isn't there still value that you're the brand that Google chose as the answer for a particular question?
Yes and no. So Google cannot operate without content. So if all websites in the world would suddenly block Google from crawling and indexing them, Google wouldn't have any information to show to its users.
Hmm.
So Google still has to share uh, some of that traffic with the websites that they're getting the content from. So obviously, yeah, you still have to do SEO. SEO is still bringing you free traffic to your website, but Google uh, tries to diminish the amount of free search traffic that you can get. And actually, this is a
Hmm.
trend with pretty much any platform. Every platform, whether it is Facebook, Twitter, Google, tries to keep users within the platform. So, for example, I'm quite an active user of Twitter, and what I've noticed is that whenever I'm tweeting just plain text tweets, or like tweets with
Hmm.
images or threads, I am getting lots of traction. People are liking, retweeting, and Twitter keeps showing my content to more and more people. But as soon as I add the link to pretty much the same tweet, pretty much the same piece of content,
Hmm.
Twitter wouldn't be as eager to show my content to other people because it would lead to people leaving the platform. They will click the link and leave Twitter. So it
Yeah.
seems Google is trying to do the same. They're trying to prevent people from leaving the search results. They try to give people kind of an instant answer, satisfy their curiosity or whatever problems they were having within the search
Yeah.
results. And this might be good for people in some cases, but it is definitely bad for content creators. And that is the
Yeah.
one of the reasons why Ahrefs is working on our own search engine.
Ah, okay. I want to hear
Oh,
more
you
about
didn't
that.
know that?
No, no. I want to. We'll come right back to that. I have a theory here, and I was at Google for a couple of years in 2014 and 2016. I think there was a major shift in Google's mission as the world shifted from desktop to mobile. In the desktop, the pre-mobile world, Google's mission was to organize the world's information, and I don't think they had any goal to keep users confined on Google. I think actually it was quite the opposite. They wanted to get people off of the search results as quick as possible to the destination, to their answer, and providing those links and providing the best search results that were driven more by backlink profiles as opposed to keywords on those pages. That's why they won the search game in the '90s. But then mobile came around, and I think that they realized that first of all, that the mobile web was nowhere near where it needed to be, and that sending traffic to really bad performing mobile websites was a bad experience. And even initiating that from Google would also be bad for Google. And they also realized that they had to monetize on mobile the way they monetized on desktop. And I think that they realized then that the mission is no longer to organize the world's information, but that the mobile device, and Android in particular, needed to be the ultimate assistant. And this is what Sundar, the CEO then, and he became CEO back then, he kept repeating it over and over, is that we need to be the ultimate assistant. So that doesn't mean organizing the world's information anymore. That means giving people the answers that they need in those moments that they need them, in the so-called micro moments. And that doesn't imply that Google ever believed that they had an obligation to content providers or to publishers to send them traffic. But simply the mission changed, is to make this device the ultimate assistant. That means to provide the answer and to satisfy people's informational needs in the moments. I think that's what generally happened. And I think publishers, in a way, they just got screwed because Google never Google's perspective was, we never felt obligated to send you all this traffic. We were just organizing the web in the first version of all this. But in the second version, well, now actually we're just going to give you the users the answer, because they don't want to go to your crappy mobile website, which is too slow and it's not mobile friendly. And now Core Web Vitals, things are jumping around. I think Google will send traffic back to the mobile web when the mobile web starts really behaving as fast and as user friendly as apps on mobile. And probably that's still a few years away.
While I'll see your point, I don't quite agree with it. And the reason for that is that Google is not so obsessed about the users, like sending someone to a bad non-mobile optimized website. Oh my God, this is so bad for Google. It's not like there's an alternative. It's not like if I search for something on mobile in Google, I click on the result and land on a bad website, I'll go use Bing. No, Google, like, what is that? They have 90% market share, and that market share is not necessarily because they have better search results. It's because of all the other things. They have created like a platform. So people are using Gmail, people are using YouTube, like Google Suite, and all that. Plus, they pay like billions of dollars to Apple to be the de facto search engine on mobile phones. Plus, they own Android. So it's not like people are using them because they're the best search engine. People are using them first and foremost because like they dominate everything and they crush the competition. And the same is pretty much with content creators. So you say Google doesn't feel obligated to send anyone traffic, but this is only possible because Google is the only source of traffic. If there were like 3 search engines with 33% share each, and one of them didn't feel obligated to send traffic to content creators would exclude that search engine from indexing their content in the first place. Why would you give your content to a search engine that is not giving you anything back? And they would rely on 2 other search engines. For example, if you would want to search the web and get articles from Ahrefs, you'll have to use Bing, because Ahrefs closes. Ahrefs doesn't allow Google to index their content. And if you want to make sure that Ahrefs articles are in your search results, you'll have to use Bing. But this is not possible given how dominant Google is. So the problem is that Google.
I'm guessing you all are not even anywhere close to making that kind of a move, right? You're not going to de-index.
Yeah, of course, because Google is so huge.
Yeah. I think to your point, I do agree. I think the real fear of Google back in 2015, 2016 was that a bad mobile experience would actually cause people to stop searching on mobile. And then they wouldn't be able to transfer their business from desktop to mobile. And they got over that, though. I think they overcame that. But the way that they did it was by providing instant answers on mobile a lot more. And in the process, they kind of screwed the content publishers by limiting the traffic. Well, anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about the search engine that you all are building. Can you tell me a little bit, whatever you can say about it, and when can we expect to get our hands on it?
Well, I cannot say much because right now this project is at the stage where I'm personally not very involved in that. So we don't yet need a lot of marketing for our search engine, which hasn't even been released yet. But our CEO and founder Dmitry has a few tweet threads where he's explaining the idea behind the search engine. And just recently, he tweeted that we are most likely on track to release the beta version of our search engine this year. And basically, the twist is so there's DuckDuckGo, which is a search engine. It is, of course, like much smaller than Google, but it is growing in popularity. And the only twist it has, I think they actually don't even have their own index of the web. They just take APIs of Bing, some other search engines, and they blend them in and create kind of a mashup of the search results from other search engines, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think they crawl the web and store the web themselves.
That's
But
what
their
I've heard
twist
too
is
about
that
them. Yeah.
yeah, but their twist is that they give you privacy. They don't stalk you like we just talked about with remarketing or retargeting, and they don't save any information from you, which later can somehow be used to influence your decisions, etc., etc. And this search engine is growing in popularity because people like the idea of privacy. People don't like a lot of people in the world don't like Google spying on them, and this gives this search engine its growth. So what Dmitry is planning to do is, of course, we are also big advocates of privacy. So we like what DuckDuckGo is doing, and we're going to continue doing that. So our search engine would also be private. But then, because we see this problem with content creators getting screwed more and more by Google, and basically, in a way, losing motivation to put out amazing content uh, on the internet, because like what do you get out of it if I'm an experienced professional in a certain field and I know that people are asking a question to Google about the thing that I'm very knowledgeable about. What's the point for me to answer this question and to give Google great content if Google won't even send those people to me? There's no reason to do that. So Dmitri's idea is that he wants to create he plans to create a search engine with profit share with content creators. So 90% of the profits of the search engine will go to content creators, and 10% of the profits will be used to keep this thing running. So that's basically the idea. And there are many different ways how content creators might get compensated. So, for example, based on how many times they are being served as a search result, or maybe how many times people click on them, or maybe how authoritative is the content. So there's like this system is still in development. So we are working on that, and there's no definitive answer. But the underlying idea is that Dmitry thinks that uh, search engine uses the content of other people to create its product, which is the search results. And if you're using someone else's work, those people have to be compensated for it. And this is where the idea of profit sharing search engine is coming from.
That's very interesting on the business model
And
side.
another interesting thing that Ahrefs is in a unique position to launch this kind of product because profit sharing search engine doesn't make sense for any VC backed startup. So no venture capitalist would invest money into a project that would share 90% of its revenue. While Ahrefs is bootstrapped and Dmitry is funding the search engine from the profits of Ahrefs, and he can like do any business he wants. So if he decides that he wants to share 90% of the revenue with the content creators, he can do that, and he doesn't need to report to any VCs. He doesn't have a pressure to take this company public or any of that stuff.
What about the ranking algorithm of this? Is it going to be based on authority and links primarily, or how different would it be, or how much can you share about how the search
Uh,
engine algorithm will rank those publishers and the results?
well, the search algorithm. would be very similar to Google, obviously, because the page rank makes sense, like ranking pages based on how many other websites or pages are referencing them. And then it all boils down to how many other ranking factors we want to blend in. And I guess that would be a work in progress, pretty much like it is with Google. So they are rolling out new little updates to their algorithm all the time. And as far as I can see, those updates are now even industry specific. So, for example, in one of the latest updates, they were targeting product review websites. So they have special algorithms to deal with content that is that has reviews of different products, and they try to gauge if that review is trustworthy, if it's going deep enough, if the person even used the product, and like all those little clues. So I'm pretty sure the same situation would be with our search engine, where we would take the links as the foundation, and from there we'll keep improving the algorithm in many different ways.
Yeah. In a way, it really makes sense because you're already dedicating such massive resources to crawling a big portion of the web. And I don't know how many, I guess it's in the trillions, how many links that you all crawl. Is it, is it a number in the trillions, I guess, something like that?
Yeah, I stopped even paying attention to those numbers
Oh,
because yeah,
it's mind
they
boggling.
are,
Yeah.
yeah, like you cannot wrap
Yeah.
your head around them. But yeah, the some people were saying that Ahrefs is distracting ourselves with the search engine project. But actually, if you think about it, Ahrefs is a search console for the future search engine. So Google first created a search engine, and then they created Search Console, Google Webmaster Tools. We have first created our kind of version of Search Console, Google Webmaster Tools. So we have, like, we crawl the internet, we're storing all the content, we have all the links, blah blah blah, and now we're working on the search engine, and those two things are very interconnected, because as we will be improving our ranking algorithm, we can roll out more interesting features to Ahrefs customers to help them understand how search algorithms work, and help point them in the right direction of how to make their website better, their content better, of how to rank higher. So those two things, having an SEO tool and your own search engine, they are super interconnected.
Yeah. You've just got to move over a few billion people from Google over to Ahrefs' new search engine,
Well,
and then it's going to be,
again,
you're going
if
to
you
be
look at
golden.
DuckDuckGo, which we just discussed, is simply a blend of search results from other search engines plus privacy. And if you look up their growth rate, they're growing quite consistently. So no one is saying that tomorrow Ahrefs releases a search engine and everyone is switching from Google to Ahrefs search engine. No, it's a long-term play, and Dmitry likes the idea of search engine that would be sharing profits. If it takes him, I don't know, 5 years to create something that would have at least, I don't know, 1%, 5% of the search engine industry, it's still okay with him. He just
Oh,
likes
five
this
percent
challenge.
would be massive. Yeah.
It's
Uh,
massive. Even
will there
1%
be?
is a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. Will there be ads in the results?
Uh, yeah, I think so, because we need to monetize the search engine
Okay,
so
so
that
it will be
then share
monetized
the
with
profit.
ads in the SERPs. Yeah, right. Gotcha. Oh, that's fascinating. I can't wait to see that come out. Um,
Hopefully this year. Hopefully this year.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Beta
but
version. So yeah,
yeah.
Dmitry said it in his tweet thread. So the beta version is likely to be released this year.
Yeah. So Tim, I want to pivot over to content marketing. I've always been watching you all develop in that area also for years, and I think this is one of the reasons why you're winning in the SEO tool space, which is hyper competitive. And I noticed a couple of years ago a really big push into video, and I really started to get hooked on Sam's videos. They're excellent. Can you just talk about your overall content strategy, and particularly if you were to give any advice to a SaaS company that's looking to really model the success you've had with content marketing? How would you advise them to go about it and structure their strategy the way you all have?
This is a great question, and I think it is best illustrated with a real story. which happened to me shortly after joining Ahrefs. So when I came to Singapore and visited the office, I saw a Wacom tablet. So this is like a tablet for drawing. If you're a designer, you take like a digital pen and draw on it, and it appears on the screen. And my wife is a part artist, so she likes to draw. And that Wacom tablet, it wasn't being used by anyone in the office. So I asked Dmitry if I can take it home, and my wife could try working with it and see if she enjoys it. Which he allowed. So I took the tablet home, I connected it to my computer, I installed some software, and then I was stuck because I didn't know like what to launch, where to go, how to use those tools. So I opened YouTube and I searched how to get started with Wacom tablet or like basic features of Wacom tablet, and then it hit me. So I realized that Ahrefs is basically the same thing as this Wacom tablet, where people understand that this is a great tool for accomplishing something and they want to use it, but they don't necessarily have all the knowledge of how to use it already in their head. So what they're going to do, they're going to go to Google, they're going to go to YouTube, and they're going to search for answers to those questions. Like how to use Ahrefs, how to build links with Ahrefs, how to do keyword research with Ahrefs. And what I realized that we have to create all that content that answers all those questions and not necessarily about Ahrefs specifically. So if people want to know how to build links, and Ahrefs can help them with this, and they go to Google and search for how do I build links, our content has to be ranking there, and our content has to show them how to accomplish this with the use of our toolset. So that's basically the foundation of our content strategy. We create educational content to show people how to solve their problems with the help of Ahrefs. And it works more or less the same on YouTube and on our blog.
Yeah, I think this is a massive opportunity that a lot of SaaS companies can take greater advantage of, which is first realizing that YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And a lot of people now prefer to watch a short video as opposed to read a blog post to get the same advice or the same guidance. And in particularly with SEO, I think also um, I think it's just more digestible, and a lot of questions are more digestible with short videos. And I think that's been a real key to the growth in the last couple of years for you all, the investment in video. And on the content side, I still see a lot of really active blogging, at least every week. What's the strategy with written content, and how has that changed over the last few years?
Keyword research. So we do keyword research. We figure out what kind of things people are searching for, where Ahrefs can be helpful to them, and we write articles about those things. So that's pretty much the strategy. We don't really publish content unless it's about a keyword that we know people are actively searching for in Google. And unless we know that while covering that topic, we can show off Ahrefs, we can blend in some use cases of Ahrefs or some relevant metrics or anything along those lines.
What kind of content team do you have producing all the content?
Uh, the content team is pretty small. So we have at this moment 3 people who are writing articles and one designer who does all the actually right now 2 designers that do all the graphic work to make our content eye pleasing.
Do any of the engineers ever write content, or do they ever come up with ideas for content?
Engineers actually have a tech blog of their own, but most of the time they are focused on work rather than sharing their experience.
Yeah,
But yeah,
gotcha.
they don't write about SEO. They write about their technical things, which I don't really understand because I'm not a technical person.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about the paid acquisition side of things. Have you all worked out a really good paid acquisition strategy, and what does that look like?
No, in the classic sense of it, we don't have any paid acquisition at all. If the definition of paid acquisition is to create a landing page and convert a person into a lead, or like
Hmm.
a trial. So we have a 7 day, $7 trial. So if we're talking about creating a landing page and advertising it on Google or Facebook or anywhere else, so that to get people to sign up for a trial, we don't have any paid acquisition of that sort at all. If we're talking about paid traffic, we do have paid traffic, because whenever we create content, whether it is a blog article or a video or sometimes even a tweet, we want that content to reach more relevant people. And because most of the platforms are kind of pay to play in a way, well, Facebook is incredibly pay to play, unless you run ads on your Facebook post. If we're talking about a business page, no one would see it. With Twitter, it is much better. So if your post is really engaging, they would show it to a lot of people. But even then, boosting our posts on Facebook and Twitter with a little bit of ad budget helps us to reach more people. So if we're talking about paid traffic for the sake of getting more people uh, to visit our educational content and other educational materials that we create, yes, we do this kind of thing.
Hmm. So most of the paid traffic is to amplify content, right, and to get a greater reach and a faster reach and traction with content.
Yeah, like
Is that correct?
99%.
Okay.
99%. So in very rare cases, we would try to get some paid traffic to a landing page and try to convert people directly to the product. But historically, when we were trying to calculate the cost per lead, it was through the roof. So we realized that it is very hard to convert a person uh, who haven't heard about Ahrefs before right into signing up for our tool. It is much easier to give them some educational content and to throw them into the rabbit hole of educational materials. So then they will educate themselves and they would understand what Ahrefs is, what it helps them with, and then they would go and voluntarily sign up for our product.
Yeah. So this is more of a product-led growth strategy than it is about a
I would say it's a
calculated acquisition.
I would call it education led growth strategy. I don't remember which book I read it from, but there was a nice phrase that the first time people use your product is in their heads. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create content to make people use Ahrefs in their heads, as opposed to, like I said, giving them this Wacom tablet and telling them use it. No, first go look at the tutorials, go look at reviews, understand how to use it, what are the applications, and then decide to make a purchase and have it home and work with it.
I'm just messing around now in Ahrefs Keyword Explorer, and I looked at Ahrefs, and then I limited my searches with terms that include verses. So I wanted to see, is there a bottom of the funnel, really people, Ahrefs versus X? So the number one, I don't know, can you guess the most popular one? It's 700 a
Uh,
month.
Probably SEMrush.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. And then,
Can you search for that in Google, Ahrefs versus SEMrush,
sure.
and tell me if you see any pages from Ahrefs ranking there?
Let's see here. You have two advertisers. Yep, you got it. You've got that organic page. Yeah, what the industry thinks. Well, and you included Moz in there too. I think what year? I
Yeah.
remember seeing that. Uh huh. Oh, you just got to slash verses. Yeah. So I've got to ask you here. I mean, this is exactly how we advise SaaS companies in really competitive categories. Just to to play in that bottom of the funnel space when people are in that last. They're definitely in market and they're narrowing down their decision set to two or three. Why wouldn't you advertise that this page? It's a great page actually. Why not advertise that for what looks to be at least a couple of thousand really highly qualified searches a month in the U.S.?
We might do this, but for now it is ranking organically. A lot of people are clicking it, so we just don't want to give Google money where we feel we deserve to get those searches for free. So this is a similar question to asking, why don't you bid on your own brand? So if
Yeah.
people search for Ahrefs in Google, and freaking Google allows anyone to bid on our brand name, which means if you search for Ahrefs, you'll see like all ads for our competitors there, and only then you will see the top ranking search result, which is our own website. This is ridiculous, because we were
Mhm.
just like 20 minutes ago, we were talking about Google wanting to please users and give them relevant information and blah blah blah. Well, if you want to give people relevant information, then freaking understand that Ahrefs is a branded query, and people are looking for freaking Ahrefs, not our competitors.
Mhm.
So put us number one. So why are you forcing us to bid to get searches? Why would I pay money to a search engine to send me people who are looking for me? This is plain ridiculous. So this is
Yeah.
the same answer to the question, why don't we advertise the versus page? Because it already
Mhm.
ranks pretty well
Yeah.
organically. And yeah, Google is forcing us to want to advertise this because other people are advertising for this query and pushing us lower. But we don't
Yeah.
really like this trajectory.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Philosophically, I do think to force brands to have to protect, basically to protect their brands by bidding to crowd out competitors, it creates a bit of nastiness. And we normally do advise our SaaS clients to protect their brands in that way, but it really is a way to protect. Because I see on the SERP for Ahrefs, at least where I'm sitting in Bulgaria, that web CEOs got the ad on top, and they have the ad extensions, which is taking up almost the whole fold, and
Yes.
they're probably getting a really big chunk of your navigational traffic that is there with navigational intent, but they get distracted by the ad, and they're
Well, I'm
siphoning
sure
off
those
some of
leads
that.
are very expensive to whoever is ranking there. Because if a person is purposefully searching for Ahrefs and you try
Mhm.
to shoehorn them a completely other brand, it would be hard to convert those people. So I
Yeah,
would
probably
think
there's a low
that those
conversion rate.
leads are expensive for them. So if they want to pay for those expensive leads, whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. What bothers me most actually is that they're using Ahrefs brand in the ad text, which really
Yeah, we
you should
do.
report them on
Yeah,
that.
we try to report them. Yeah, we try to report
Yeah,
whenever we see that people are using our brand. Yeah.
yeah. Um, Excellent. Well, so in terms of paid, then you really don't look at it like most SaaS companies really just look at the unit economics and say, our LTV, we know our LTV is X. We need to provide about a 3-to-1 or maybe a 4-to-1 LTV to CAC ratio. So that means that we have a threshold of maximum this amount of CAC. But you all don't look at it that way because you're not going after funding and you're not beholden to investors. Is that right?
Exactly, exactly.
So you have the luxury of moving at your own speed and not having that short term pressure to
Yeah,
deliver
yeah,
that.
and I don't even quite understand how that works. So if you have a number that is your LTV, your lifetime value of a customer, let's say like
Mhm.
it's $1,000, and then you would try to have your customer acquisition cost below that number. So for example, if our lifetime value is $1,000 and we acquire customer for 900, what, we should be happy about it? To have a margin of $100, and that is
Mhm.
margin purely on
It's
marketing spend.
gross. Right, right. Before
So
any other
what's the
costs.
actual profit there? There's like almost
Mhm.
no profit. So what's the end game? If you're basically wasting all the money you get from customers, isn't this
Mhm.
like some kind of a bubble or something? We are creating a profitable business. We are not creating a
Yeah.
bubble that like would go IPO and people would like pay
Yeah.
money for like a Bitcoin or something.
I think when there's investors involved and they have a horizon of 2, 3, 4 years to basically to flip it and get a 3x 5x return, and they're shareholders. They have shareholders also that demand this. They need to see that those SaaS companies they're investing in can leverage paid, and not necessarily the economics that you described are very razor thin margins, but a 3-to-1 LTV to CAC ratio imply that if your LTV is 1,000, that you could acquire at say $300, which would be quite profitable. The unit economics look good, and if you could accelerate that, if you could fuel that with a ton of cash, you could get out ahead of competitors. And in 1 or 2 years, if the SEO tool space is going to eventually be a Coke and Pepsi game, you're going to be one of the ones standing. You're going to be one of the 900-pound gorillas, the Salesforce or the HubSpot. That's how an
Well,
investor would probably look at this, but you all don't look at it that way, which I think is really fascinating.
yeah, it's
Because
very interesting because our main competitor seems to be doing just that.
yeah,
Because with the amount of advertising I'm seeing from them, that is SEMrush, it looks like
hmm
they are doing just that. They are acquiring customers at a very high price, while probably
hmm
knowing that the unit economics still work for them. So uh, it seems that they should eventually crush us. But so far, I don't see this happening because with
hmm
all the customer acquisition, internet is still a very open space, and you cannot, like, if you know about Coke, you know about Pepsi. So
yeah,
if you know about SEMrush, you will know about Ahrefs. That's just how things work. So I
yeah,
don't think it is possible for them to crush us as long as our product is superior
better.
in some way.
It is,
So yeah,
yeah,
if our products are equally, if anyone can basically create a similar product, if a product is a commodity, then
yeah,
yes, probably you have to race to quickly win the market and decimate your competition. But if your
hmm
product has some uniqueness to it, if people can get from Ahrefs something they cannot get from SEMrush, they wouldn't be able to crush us. No way.
yeah, yeah,
Well, we'll see. I don't know, 5, 10 years from now,
yeah,
I may be completely right or I may be completely wrong.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think also the dynamics of SEO, the SEO industry is still growing a lot. And I still think that there are more and more practitioners coming into the game, whether it be in-house marketing teams or also agencies. I think, especially in this last year of the pandemic, I think agencies exploded. I mean, it was a great year for digital agencies. So I think that when the market is still growing as fast as it is, you can't really obsess over market share. If you're Coke and Pepsi, there's a finite number of people that still drink carbonated sugar water, and thankfully, I think that number is going down now. But you're not in that kind of space, so you're not in a trench warfare over market share right now. You're actually trying to continue to grow the market with those competitors because it's still a wide open. I think it's a wide open game, and especially considering the fact that switching from a SEMrush to you guys, the switching cost is pretty low, and it's easy for them to check out. Oh, let's check this out. It's not like switching a CRM where, oh man, I have to import. Well, I've got to get all of my data from this platform and I have to migrate it over to this other platform. There's none of that with the SEO tool space. So I think people are still very open minded, willing to check out new tools, and the landscape is still really really dynamic. So I really love that you all are still bootstrapping and doing it your way, and it's just an amazing story, Tim.
Exactly. Those are very fair and accurate observations. So I just wanted to point out that what I'm saying about Ahrefs doesn't necessarily apply to other businesses. And what you said about
hmm
like the cost of moving from app to app, this is very important because, for example, if you are an email marketing service, then you do want to probably beat your competition to acquiring all the customers in the industry as fast as you can, because then they would be
hmm
unlikely to switch. In our case, yeah, switching is much easier, and same goes to the fact that the industry is growing. So it's not like we are wrestling for a piece of the pie. The actual pie is growing, and we're just trying
Yeah.
to keep up with the demand and be there for the people who need a tool like ours.
Let me ask you this question, Tim. Do you track or do you have any sense of what portion of digital marketing agencies worldwide use Ahrefs?
I have no idea.
Is there any way to estimate? I think there's somewhere around maybe 20,000 agencies, at least on Clutch. But do you think you have the majority of agencies using your product today?
Uh, it's hard to say, and I don't even know like if investigating that would make any sense, because we have a few different packages, like light package for $99 and agency package for $999 per month. And
Mm-hmm.
an agency, like a small agency, which still might be listed in some agencies directory, it might be on our light package, and some other agency might be on our agency package. So it doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
make sense to know if all of the agency, or like what percentage of the agencies are using us. We just look at our overall number of customers and our overall revenue. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what percentage of agencies are using us is not necessarily indicative of anything without knowing
Okay.
what kind of package they use and like what are the numbers of the competitors, etc., etc. So uh, we'll need
Yeah.
to have more granular data to kind of make sense of it and to benchmark it against competitors or against the industry. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. It would be interesting to know because every agency owner or person that I ever talk to, I've never met anyone who's not using Ahrefs. I mean, it's really, I assume it's the majority, but I think it would be interesting to segment out your customer base, your agency customer base, and see where they land in terms of plans, and maybe think about how you could graduate certain people from the light plan up to the agency plan, based on certain indications of maybe headcount growth, client growth, usage of the tool. When certain limitations ceilings start to get hit, there's probably some growth opportunity there, if you're able to dig into that data. Uh, Great. Well, Tim, I think we're starting to run short on time, and I think I could go on for hours longer, but probably need to wrap this up. Is there anything that I didn't ask you today that you wished I would have asked you, or is anything that you'd like our audience to know?
I cannot think of anything. Yeah, you were asking great questions. It was probably the most kind of conversational podcast that I've had in a while. Quite often, podcast hosts would just like answer quite similar questions from an interview to interview. But yeah, with you,
Hmm.
conversation was really unexpected and very interesting, and like some challenging topics were discussed there. So I hope the audience enjoyed our dissertations on those topics.
Great. So, Tim, can you just let everybody know where they can find you online? What's the best place to find your stuff?
I'm most active on Twitter, so it is
Hmm.
at Tim Soulo. And just a quick plug for anyone who is interested to learn a little more about SEO. So we talked that Ahrefs has tons of articles on our blog, and we have tons of videos on our YouTube channel. But if someone is looking to learn the fundamentals, we just recently created a nice kind of entry page into the world of SEO, which is located at ahrefs.com/SEO. And this is basically a small collection of the kind of foundational resources for beginners. So if people who are listening to us want to learn the very fundamentals of SEO, I'm not telling learn the entirety of SEO, but the fundamentals, please go to ahrefs.com/SEO and check out our beginner materials.
Yeah, I can vouch for that because I've checked out the beginner's guide and it's excellent. And I think that the time is ripe for a newer and better beginner's guide. I think it was a good timing on your part because I've been following those
Thank you.
beginner's guides also for many years. Moz had dominated that for a long time, but I tip my hat on the timing of that one to you all. And you know it's serious if you're going to dedicate /SEO the URL. That
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, of
that means
course.
that you're serious. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Um, well, great, Tim. I really enjoyed this. Thanks very much for spending the time with me. And just for those of you who are listening and you're trying to find Tim, he spells his name like Soul, Soul with an O, Tim Soulo. And great content, amazing company. I think you still have some exciting times ahead. Good luck with that new search engine. We can't wait to get our hands on it. So
Thank you, Paris. It has been
I
great.
really enjoyed it. Thanks, Tim.